Topical issues once more. Topic: are we spiritual beings in a body? This is a question that has bothered many of us from when we were born. We were told that there is a spirit, others called it a soul, others called it a spirit, others broke the body into three components. They said that there is the body, the created part, physical. Then they said there is the soul that determines your IQ, your characters. And they say there is the spirit, the thing that keeps you living. When it leaves, you are no more. There are those who simply divide it into two: the body, physical, and the spirit. So people have had different thoughts about human beings. I'm going to approach this from different resources, and bear with me. I'm not saying this is how it is. I'm just trying to give my thoughts. We are free also to reason and think how these things are. Let's start with the beginning. The Bible says, in the beginning there was darkness, and the Spirit of God was floating upon the waters. The Spirit, that is the life of God, was moving along the waters. And the Quran talks of God creating the beginning, we created. And also we can go to the books of people from the Norse religion, and they have a different notion that the earth, everything in the universe was chaos, and there was a creation from chaos into things that can be understood. There is a story of a goddess called Nyx, and Nyx works in darkness. People have been wondering, what is space? We all knew space was nothing, and we knew darkness was nothing. Later, when I think I was in secondary or I'd finished secondary school, a lady somewhere in the United States discovered that darkness was something, an entity. And from there we've had theories of dark matter and the dark force. When we move along those lines, we come to realize that the Bible talks about, and God said, let there be light, and there was light. The first thing is light. Some people define light as a consciousness. So we realize light is a consciousness. The Quran talks of entities like the jinns or genies, and the other spiritual entities were created out of smokeless fire. What does it tell us? It tells us that life can be created in the form of a fire. There is no media that nothing in existence cannot be created in. So these were created in smokeless fire. We have a writing in the Bible that Lucifer once walked on the fires of the heaven and the precious stones. So, meaning fire. Entities can be created from fire. We have specters. Specters are just, what can we call it? Vapors. So, from air, entities can be created. The Bible and the Quran talks of from the water, God separating the water and then into dry land and the water, and ordering life in the water and ordering life on the dry land. The Quran simply tells us, and we created life out of water. Same thing. Go to the Hindu, the Vedas, and they talk of River Ganga flowing from the heavens, which is the river Ganges. And sometimes they see the Milky Way as Ganga, flowing through India to give life. What are we talking about? We are talking about things that we may not have known due to limitation of knowledge, and others have known. That's why you've heard people talking of, this is esoteric knowledge, this is exoteric knowledge, average knowledge, advanced knowledge. I have always wondered, is it true that some texts, from a Christian text, some of the books edited, they talk of human beings being light beings, people with understanding, with a conscience, that are entrapped within a physical form. And when we look at the Norse religion, the famous story of Adam and Eve is depicted in their religious stories. That in the beginning there was a tree of life, and the tree of life is cyclic, meaning that life comes from one form and moves and is recycled, just like water is recycled. They talk of, in the beginning, ask was created. Ask. And from the Bible we have Adam, from red soil and from dam, blood. And they talk of Embla, the woman. And from the Bible, we talk of Eve, the life giver. Embla, the giver. So, you find that these forms, there are talk of God creating from the clay and breathing life into them, spirit. And when people pass on, something leaves the body and you are dead. In short, we're saying that the body is a housing, a domicile, a tent for a spirit that lives in. So we are spiritual beings in a physical body. But there are other spiritual entities that don't have a physical body. I was looking at the scientific understanding of the universe and trying to gauge out how things work. States of matter. there is air or vapor, there is liquid, and there is solid. Interestingly, some gases that we have under pressure turn into liquid. A good example is nitrogen. Compressed nitrogen, you get a super liquid, a liquid that can preserve fetus and these things. That's why veterinary doctors use nitrogen for storage of the gametes that are removed, warmed, put in the cow, and you have a life. Embryos can be kept in nitrogen liquid. So what comes is, according to different vibrations, we have different entities. Could we be having entities through all those vibrations, from gas, fire, which is something we note, an element that we say is electrical in electromagnetic in nature, gas, liquids, and all these things? Could we be having entities within the forms that we understand and we don't understand? Because it's interesting. Water is a gas, vapor. We walk in air. Could it be a sort of a higher vibration, almost like a fire, to other entities? Why am I talking about this? I'm talking about things that are written in the books, the spiritual books. Let's take, for example, the spirit of Elisha was someone, meaning Elisha had passed on. The body could not come, his spirit could appear. When Jesus went and resurrected, he could go through a wall like a spirit. I've been thinking, and I know this is the knowledge that some people have. We are talking of artificial intelligence. This is making metallic things be able to work through computerization, to think and act like or better than human. We have been animating robots so they can talk. The others that are human-like, they can talk out of their own volition. You can ask them questions and they are able to answer. And there is a development towards having robotized things, small in size, that you can be able to send on a mission, and they can be able to gather their own information, program themselves as they go. These are metallic things. And this is the knowledge that has been hidden from the common people, average, or not hidden. We're not interested in knowing what is happening around us. And that makes a difference between entities that will be enslaved by others that are more knowledgeable, or have got certain powers that are beyond. I've been thinking, I've been wondering, God gives our faith the ability to perform. Could it be the time that God has asked us to open up so that we are able to grasp knowledge that we think of higher knowledge from the confinements that we've had? Because the thing has been, these are your limitations. But we are now realizing that there is something within us. There are things outside us. I say I know if I used the first thing without us, it would have succeeded like it would have sounded like when we are not present. No, within and outside us. So allow me to use it. May not be the proper English formation, but without and within and on us, that behave differently, but life exists in forms we can't understand. We talk of possession, body possession. Somebody has been possessed by genies. He has been possessed by demons. We have examples of Jesus going to a place where there was a man who the demons had entered in, living in him, and he would do many strange things. So when the spirits left, and not all the spirits left because he has a spirit, if it had left he would have died. So when the other spirits left, the body was calm. The one that was supposed to inhabit that body was calm, was a great spirit that was able to send messages to deca-cities, that is 10 cities. He was a person who was able to send enlightenment to about 10 cities. But at that time, when he was inhabited by spirits, demons that did not want him to behave normal, he could not be able to give this message. So, what we've been learning in the spiritual realm, in the spiritual books, in the Norse religion, is that there is a spirit within us that reaches a time that it lives. Some believe that it goes to heaven. Heaven is above. The Norse religion shows that it's cyclic. It's moving from one entity into another entity, and from there into another entity. Cyclic is continuous, because most of the things in the universe are cyclic. Interesting, you will find the water, when you release water in a sink, how does it move? It makes cyclic moves. When the wind is blowing, a wild wind, cyclic moves. A tsunami coming brings water, but then when we have a storm in the ocean, a tornado, something like that, comes in a cyclic form. So everything in existence is cyclic. And what we are realizing is what they said in the spiritual books may not be wrong. We are spiritual entities in a physical body. It's only the interpretation of what happens to the spirit when it leaves that body. There are forces within us and outside us that cannot be explained by us, but the spirit within is able to exert certain forces, certain abilities that we don't know. But also, there may be other entities that don't have a body like us. They are not, they may be. And they are able to assert themselves in the universe in different forms. So, I was asking, are we a spirit, but life, or are we spirits or spiritual form beings in physical body? Me, from the examples I've given you, I think that's what we are. We are spiritual. We may be formed from light. We may be formed from other entities that God presents himself in, because God himself is a spirit. And the Spirit of God was, and God is a spirit. So that is our uniqueness. And there are other uniqueness within our environment. There are secrets within the material realm that we may not understand. And why am I talking this? I'm trying to call upon us to rise above the level of being confined. Get away from confinement. Search more knowledge. We know of knowledge in the systems that we have, institutionalized education, where there are guilds that give us grades. You are a professor, you are a doctor, you are this, you are that. And then we get limited to just a certain form of knowledge. Whereas it's good to learn broadly in one form of knowledge. That's how when I got to learn later, I got to understand that the higher you go, the colder it becomes. I also got to learn that the higher you go in education, the more you learn about less things. Let's take for instance, you are becoming a doctor. You end up, you start being a physician. A physician learns many of these things and diseases and whatever. You end up getting your doctorate. You become an optician. And the more you advance, now you advance and you are a specialist in only the left or the right eye. You have learned more about the left eye. In that you are recognized for knowing more about the left eye or knowing more about the right eye. Other things are left aside. It's not bad because they can be able to treat as doctors, but it's good to expand ourselves, get interested in knowing other things, so that we eat the fruit, we get the knowledge, we are able to exist in the realm that God wants us to go in, liberated from the imprisonments that we have had without knowing we are imprisoned. We have been limited in our thinking, we've been limited in our pursuit of knowledge, and we get limited in that you are a geologist, let's say, and it reaches a time when you just have to end up in a small area learning about certain metals. That is what it means for you. So you are an expert in minerals, these types of minerals, and the rest of it goes away. But formally, you find even many of the philosophers, they could do different things. One could be doing mathematics, is in other fields, same person. Maybe if we could have a situation where we could be more liberal in our acquisition of knowledge, it will start changing our perspective. That is the message I'm trying to pass across, and also to reinforce what we used to have formally taught in religions, that there is a spirit within you. You are a spirit being within a physical body. Take that seriously. And your spirit can perform more than what you can imagine. That is my take for now.